Hey everyone, it's Types, and today I have a cool new format that I want to talk about. This is not my own format. I have the link down below in the description to the tournament that's running this format, and you can join that if you want. But it's cool. I think it's called the Mini League or something. Pretty much all the Pokemon have low HP, low damage output, like really low damage output. And it looks really cool, and I wanted to try it out, and I want to see what all of your thoughts are on it as well. And pretty much the deck building, it's 60 card decks, of course, and then you can only have one of each Pokemon or trainer, and only 3 of each basic energy. And all these cards here, which is you see is 112 cards, and I presumably all of them have imported, right? You can only have one of each Pokemon. This Jigglypuff, you can have one of this Jigglypuff, one of this Jigglypuff, stuff like that. And so you have to have all unique trainers, and you have to have at least 15 Pokemon, 15 trainers, and 15 energy. And so, as I said, you can only have 3 of each type of energy. So that means you need at least 5 types of energy, which is pretty crazy, but it's really cool. I haven't actually played around with it too much. Obviously, I don't have all the cards, and I'm actually still trading for some of the cards for the decks, but this is the first pool, which is going to take place in the first event. I believe I might be getting them switched, but pretty much you have a bunch of different types of Pokemon, and you can only choose from these cards that I'm showing here. And I want to talk about how it's interesting and the different archetypes here. So first of all, there are a bunch of Pokemon of each type, and one of the really important things is weakness, and also resistance can be really important because a lot of the Pokemon, let's see, what's 30 damage is pretty solid in this format, I think. And so resistance is minus 30. That's almost negating all the damage, which is insane. And so making sure you have a bunch of different types, which you pretty much have to have, is really important. And so you can maneuver around different weaknesses. So that's really cool, and I'm excited to try this out. And so I'll probably be recording some videos of me playing that, and I'll post them. We'll see how I do it, but I plan on doing that. So first of all, the colorless Pokemon, you have, I guess I'll go through by type, but you have Apom here, which has an interesting ability that says you can put a top card of your opponent's deck on the bottom without looking at it, but that's kind of bad. But then you got Chatot, which recovers supporters, which is okay. But you see 30 damage here, looks pretty solid. But also Hoot Hoot, stops discarding energy. And all these colorless Pokemon are very versatile. Lillipup, not too interesting. Starly can search for any 2 cards, which seems really strong. This great consistency. Also synergy with Birdkeeper. And then I guess I'll talk about the first package here, which is the Sing package. So Sing just says your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep, which is whatever. But then there are some other Pokemon with this attack. This Jigglypuff has Sing for 2 colorless. And I think something else has it. It doesn't really matter too much, but a few Pokemon have Sing. And then, most importantly, I don't know how this is organized. Oh, I guess the fairy here and then this Jigglypuff's grouped in. Yeah. You got Milowetta here, which is one of the main archetypes, which says it has Sing, but then also Miracle Harmony for Psychic Colorless, so pretty expensive, especially with almost no energy acceleration. But you flip coin for each Pokemon that has Sing, and so you can have a few different ones. And then this does 10 spread to all your opponent's Pokemon for each heads. So that means if you have 3 Pokemon with Sing in play, which you can definitely do. Oh, you have 4 with Poplio. So you can do a bunch of spread every turn, and that's really solid. There are also some interesting packages. There's the Tentacool Janine package. Janine's just a supporter that's mediocre. We can hit pretty hard for 1 energy with that, and I think there's something else that combos with Janine. I haven't looked. I've looked at all the packages, but I don't. Is it Gligar? Yeah, Gligar. Which you can actually hit 120 damage, but that's 3 energy. You need to play Janine that turn, so not amazing. What else? We have Sandile for Mill, which is kind of cool. And then we have Grimer and stuff to discard energy, which is really interesting. The meta is still going to be focused around damage, like Krogrunt here on a coin flip discards energy and also can mill, or it does damage, so that's kind of cool. And you see lots of cards here that just have multi-purpose, and then you see stuff's pretty weak though. Obviously, the most HP I think is maybe 80. You got stuff like Grimer, those are the tanky Pokemon. You have Growlithe, some interesting ones here. But then we also have a few interesting tech Pokemon. First of all, this isn't a tech card, but Haymaker Electabuzz. I'm sure many of you know this card from coming out in base set essentially. Now, this is really interesting, and this is actually very viable here, being able to hit for that like solid damage and just for 1 energy, so that's really cool. We also have Pachirisu, and I think Lightning type's one of the stronger types here that discards tools and then paralyzes. So that's really if they discard tools. So that can be really strong, and I think Pachirisu is one to watch out for, especially with its metal resistance. Also, really interestingly here, we see cards like Jirachi, which has a really powerful ability. Actually, its slap attack 30 for 2, as well as its psychic resistance, make it look really good because you can use its ability. You can attack if you use the ability, but that's okay because you're still setting up. Then you can start using slap and dealing solid damage while also being a little bit tanky with the resistance and solid HP. That's what's really interesting, having these like low HP. Something like Jirachi then becomes almost tanky. Not super tanky, but it's okay. I think one of the best cards here is Cryogonal, which does item lock and 10 damage. Very solid, very consistent, and I think it's just amazing. We also see the Let's All Rollout package, which many of you probably know. It says for 2 colorless, you do 20 for each of your bench Pokemon that has Let's All Rollout. So I think one of the Pokemon Let's All Rollout's missing. We have quite a few. We have Meryl, Togedemaru, which is metal type. Meryl's water. We see, oh boy, I forget which ones. Oh, there's Sandshrew, which is fighting, and then Jigglypuff, which is psychic, and those are the 4. So you can hit 60 damage if you have all 4 in play, which is really interesting. Very strong, and you can also hit a bunch of weaknesses. Also, the rest of the attacks are all solid. You can kind of control your draws a bit with Sandshrew, which is kind of cool. You can also do spread with Meryl. You can just have a solid attack doing 50 damage with Togedemaru, and with Jigglypuff, you just do pound for 20, which is okay. And obviously, having a colorless attacker is really good because you can only play 3 of each type of energy, so the likelihood of you drawing into exactly what energy you need is kind of low. We also see, I don't remember if there, oh yeah, there's the Lost Zone package. So that has Lost March. You have Nadu with Lost March, and Cottony with Lost March, and I think it's just those 2. That's fine. You can do Lost Zone, and that does 20 for each Pokemon in your Lost Zone. So obviously you have a few things. You have Lost Splendor, Lost Vacuum to get stuff in the Lost Zone. And I believe that's about it. The Lost Zone package looks really interesting, be able to just hit this solid damage output. Now, Nadu has atrocious HP with 40, and Cottony also has 40, so that's a bit scary. Cottony has a resistance to Dark, which is okay. Nadu does not have a resistance, but I think the Lost Zone package could be very solid here. And then that's kind of cool. And then we also just see Yamper, which can recover Pokeball and Great Ball. You see these like really interesting combo pieces. Spinnerack also goes to the Lost Zone. I forgot about that. And paralyzes and poisons. So you got a few different ways to do Lost Zone. We see Rowlet as part of that combo for Bird Keeper. And on to the trainers, which aren't too crazy. You see stuff like Level Ball, Great Ball, Pokeball. I think Quick Ball. Maybe, Quick Ball. Then you also we see some healing cards. Oh, we see Damage Mover, which is kind of healing, and Damage Pump. Also, Pokédoll to stall, and you see a bunch of control cards here. Nothing crazy powerful, but Hammer, Pokédoll. We see, oh boy, what's the other control card? Mars, yeah, and Plumeria. So some really solid control cards. Then we also see Wind Up Arm. So sleep and paralysis are kind of important in this meta. We see Slumbering Force as well. And so it's really interesting with all those different options. I'm not going to show off my deck just yet, though I obviously talked about some of the stronger cards. And I'm going to talk about the other pool as well and talk about how it is a bit different as well. It also PCGO gets really laggy looking at all these cards. You see, Rattata does 30 for 1. Oh, that's actually really good. I've looked, but I haven't gone through everything. You see some Rapid Strike cards here. First of all, which is interesting. We also see Eevee, which does more for each different type of Pokemon, which is pretty cool. And you see some interesting cards here. We also see, where are the other Rapid Strike cards? We have, I've lost them. We have Grookey. We have Diglett, which is really solid. And then I'm sure we have something else. In Marshadow, and I think is there not a water one? I don't know. There's a few Rapid Strike Pokemon, which are interesting. You can use Marshadow to set them up, and then you actually have a really interesting combo here with Seabold, which heals your Rapid Strike Pokemon, which is super strong. Healing in this format in this second pool here is really important. We also see stuff like Wooloo with Expand to reduce damage done to this Pokemon, which is insane. We also see, let's see, where else is it? We see some healing cards. We see Victini and then Manaphy down here. So you can heal your Pokemon, which is absolutely insane, just by Manaphy saying you can heal 20 from one of your benched that has water attached to it. And then you see Victini here saying you heal 20 from any one of your benched. And they they can attack as well. They're okay. 30 for 2 is very solid, respectable. We see stuff like Togepi, but then we see counter stuff like Mimikyu and Mr. Mime. This format. Oh, and we also have Inkay in this. But then one of the interesting things we have here is we actually have Guzma. The other format doesn't have Guzma. We have Guzma. We also have Will to guarantee heads on something like Pokemon Catcher if you want to do that. And yeah, it's really interesting. We also see interesting draw stuff like Pokénav here, making its way, Super Scoop Up, all these interesting cards. And then, yeah, this form is a bit more interesting. I think we got Mew here, which is similar to the Jirachi, to the Manaphy, or is it Manaphy or is it Fia? I don't know. I think I have it in my deck. I don't know. We have Celebi as well. They all kind of look at the top of your deck, grab stuff. And they can also have solid attacks as well. We also see, really interestingly, Magmar, another iconic Pokemon. It's Smokescreen. During the next turn, the opponent flips, and if tails, their attack just fails. So that's insane. We got all these weird coin flip synergy stuff. We have like Bunnyuria's coin flip synergy and stuff like that. We got some interesting control cards with Slakoth as well, which is really interesting. Overall, it just really cool format. So comment down below what you think of it. And also we got the Togedemaru into the Dedenne play, which is kind of cool for some weird lightning stuff, as well as Nuzzle package. We have Pachirisu to accelerate, although you only have a few lightning energy. We can accelerate that to Pikachu, I believe, and Dedenne, as well as Togedemaru. So you can have these solid Nuzzle package, which is pretty interesting. We also see, as I said, those tacky psychic cards for like countering healing. We have Togepi for healing, and then the all-powerful Alolan Vulpix that says search for 2 Pokemon for free, which is just insane. So yeah, comment down below what you think of this. I'm really excited to play with this format some. I need to obviously get some cards, but I hope you enjoyed this. I didn't have a huge video planned for today, just this, but I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.